Un gran danés de 150 libras llamado Blue se negaba a separarse de un niño de
150-pound Great
un año.
Dane named Blue refused to
comer,
leave a
ni para
one-year-old
dormir,
boy's
ni
side,
siquiera
not
por
for a
5
meal,
segundos.
not for a nap,
Cuando
not
esta
even for
familia lo
5
trajo a casa
seconds.
por primera
When this
vez,
family
todos
first brought him
decían lo
home,
mismo.
everyone said the exact same
Desháganse de ese
thing.
perro
Get
antes
rid
de
of
que el
that
bebé
dog
salga
before the
herido.
baby gets hurt.
Un
A
perro de
150-pound
150
dog the
libras,
size
del
of a
tamaño de un
small
caballo
horse,
pequeño,
living in the
viviendo en la
same
misma
house as
casa
a
que un bebé
crawling
que gatea.
infant, the neighbors
Los
called it
vecinos
an
lo llamaban un
accident waiting to
accidente
happen.
anunciado.
51 different
51
people
personas
told them
diferentes
to
le dijeron
rehome
que lo
him.
dieran en adopción.
51. And then, on an
51.
ordinary afternoon,
Y
in a
entonces,
quiet
una tarde
Texas living
cualquiera en la
room,
tranquila
the dog
sala de estar de
everyone
Texas,
wanted gone
el
did
perro
the
que todos
one
querían
thing
fuera
no
hizo lo
human
único
in
que
that
ningún
house was
humano en
fast
esta
enough to
casa fue
do.
lo
This
suficientemente
is the
rápido como
story
para
of how
hacer.
the giant everyone
Esta es la
feared
historia de cómo
became
el
the
gigante
only
al que todos
reason a
temían se
little boy
convirtió en
is
la
still
única
here
razón por
today.
la que un niño pequeño
Emily and
sigue aquí
Ethan
hoy.
Carter lived in a
Emily y
four-bedroom
Ethan
house in
Carter
South
vivían en
Lake,
una casa
Texas,
de 4
in the kind of
dormitorios en
neighborhood with
Soulac,
wide
Texas,
lawns and
en un
quiet
barrio con
streets.
amplios jardines
Ethan
y
traveled
calles
often for
tranquilas.
work, and Emily had
Ethan
wanted a
viajaba
dog
mucho
her
por
whole
trabajo,
life,
y
and
Emily
so
siempre
they
había
adopted
querido un
Blue
perro.
as a clumsy
Y
10-week-old
así,
puppy,
adoptaron
a
a Blue,
blue-gray
un torpe
Great Dane
cachorro de
with
10
paws
semanas,
too big
un
for his
gran danés
legs
gris azulado
and
con
ears
patas
that flopped
demasiado
when he
grandes
tripped
para
over
su
them.
cuerpo y orejas
Back
que le
then, he
caían
weighed
cuando
14
tropezaba con
pounds
ellas.
and could not figure out
En
his
aquel
own tail.
entonces,
By the
pesaba
time he
6
turned
kilos y
2,
no podía
he weighed
entender su propia cola.
150. He
Para cuando
filled
cumplió 2
doorways.
años,
He
pesaba
rested his chin
68
on the
kilos.
kitchen counter without
Llenaba
stretching,
los marcos de
and
las
he was,
puertas.
by every single measure,
Apoyaba la
the
barbilla en la
gentlest
encimera
creature
de la
either of
cocina
them
sin
had ever
estirarse.
known. Then
Y
Emily
era,
got
a
pregnant,
todas luces,
and
la
everything
criatura más
changed.
dócil que
Not
cualquiera
with
de
Blue,
ellos había
with everyone
conocido
else.
jamás.
Her mother called first.
Entonces
You
Emily se quedó
cannot keep a
embarazada,
dog that
y todo
size around a
cambió.
newborn, she said.
No con
He will
Blue,
knock the
sino con
baby
todos los
over
demás.
without even meaning to.
Su madre
Her
llamó
sister
primero.
sent her articles about
No
big
puedes
dogs
tener un
and
perro de
infants.
ese tamaño
A
cerca
neighbor
de un
named
recién
Rick,
nacido,
who had
le
never
dijo.
once been friendly,
Derribará al
suddenly
bebé
had
sin
strong
querer.
opinions about
Su
giant
hermana le
breeds
envió
and children.
artículos sobre perros
Even the
grandes e
pediatrician
infantes.
gave a careful little
Un vecino
frown.
llamado Rick,
The
que
pressure
nunca
built
había
for
sido
9
amable,
straight months,
de repente
but
tenía
Emily had
opiniones
watched
firmes sobre
Blue all
razas
through her
gigantes y
pregnancy,
niños.
the way he had started
Incluso el
sleeping
pediatra
outside the
frunció un
empty
cuidadoso
nursery
y pequeño
before there was
ceño.
even a baby
La
inside it,
presión aumentó
and she
durante
made her
9 meses
decision.
seguidos.
Blue stays.
Pero Emily había
I see you're
observado a Blue
still
durante
here,
todo
but
su
you haven't
embarazo,
subscribed
la
yet.
forma en que empezó
After
a dormir
everything
fuera de la
Blue is
guardería
about to
vacía
do,
antes de que
I
hubiera un
really
bebé
think you'll
dentro.
want to be part of this.
Y tomó
Hit
su
that
decisión.
subscribe button. It means
Blue
more
se
than you
queda.
know. They brought
Veo que
Finn
sigues
home from the
aquí,
hospital
pero
on a
aún no te
warm
has
morning in
suscrito.
March. Ethan
Después de
carried
todo
the
lo
car
que Blue
seat
está a
through the
punto de
front door
hacer,
with his
creo que
heart
querrás
pounding,
formar parte de
not
esto.
because of the baby, but
Dale a
because
ese
of the
botón
dog.
de suscripción.
Blue walked over slowly. He
Significa
did
más
not
de lo que
jump, he
imaginas.
did not bark, he lowered
Trajeron a
his
Finn a
enormous
casa del
head
hospital
until
una
his
mañana
nose was
cálida de
barely an
marzo.
inch from the blanket,
Ethan entró con la
breathed in
silla del
once,
bebé,
and then
con el
did something
corazón
that made
latiéndole con
Emily
fuerza.
cry on the spot.
No por
He
el
lay
bebé,
down on
sino
the
por el
floor
perro.
beside that car seat
Blue se
and
acercó
let out a
despacio.
long, slow
No
sigh,
saltó.
the sigh of a
No
creature
ladró.
who had just been handed a
Bajó su
job
enorme
he
cabeza hasta
intended
que
to
su
keep
hocico
for the
quedó a
rest of
escasos
his life.
centímetros de la
From
manta.
that morning forward,
Inhaló
Blue
una
had
vez y luego hizo
exactly
algo
one
que hizo
purpose,
llorar a
and his
Emily en el
name
acto.
was Finn. Where
Se
the baby
tumbó en el
went,
suelo
Blue
junto a la
went.
silla del
When
bebé y
Emily
soltó
carried
un
Finn to
largo
the
y lento
kitchen,
suspiro.
150
El
pounds of
suspiro
Great
de una
Dane
criatura a
padded
la que
along
acababan
right
de
behind
encomendar
her.
una tarea
When
que
Finn
pretendía
napped,
cumplir el
Blue
resto de
lay
su vida.
across the nursery
A
doorway
partir
like
de
a
esa
gray
mañana,
boulder.
Blue tuvo un
When
único
Finn cried at
propósito,
2 in the
y su
morning,
nombre era Finn.
Blue was already standing
iba
at
el
the
bebé,
crib before
iba Blue.
Emily's feet had even
Cuando
hit the
Emily
cold
llevaba a
floor.
Finn a la
He did
cocina,
not
el
just
gran
follow
danés de
that
70
baby,
kilos la
he
seguía de
orbited
cerca.
him. And here is
Cuando
what
Finn dormía
nobody
la
tells you
siesta,
about a
Blue se
dog
tumbaba
this
en la entrada de
devoted.
la
He
habitación del bebé
invents
como una
rules,
roca
and the
gris.
whole family simply
Cuando
has
Finn
to
lloraba a
learn
las
them.
2 de la
Rule
madrugada,
1,
Blue
Finn
ya
did
estaba
not
junto
eat
a la
alone,
cuna antes de que
ever.
los pies de Emily
Blue lay
hubieran
beside
tocado el
that
frío
high chair
suelo.
at every single
No
meal,
solo
catching
seguía a ese
drop
bebé,
puffs out of the air with a
orbitaba a
delicacy
su
that seemed
alrededor.
impossible for a head
Y
that
esto es lo
size.
que nadie te cuenta
Emily
sobre
stopped
un perro
sweeping
tan
under the
devoto.
table entirely. There was
Él inventa
nothing left to
reglas
sweep.
y toda la
Rule
familia
2,
simplemente
Blue
tiene
had
que
appointed
aprenderlas.
himself the sworn enemy
Regla
of the
número
vacuum
1,
cleaner.
Finn
The
nunca
first time
comía
it
solo.
powered on near Finn,
Blue se echaba junto a la
150
trona en
pounds of
cada
Great
comida,
Dane stepped
atrapando
directly
trocitos que
between the
caían
baby
al
and the
aire con una
machine and
delicadeza que
stood there there like a knight guarding a castle gate until someone turned it off. Rule 3, and this one made Ethan laugh until he wheezed, Blue could not stand a closed door between himself and the baby. If Emily took Finn into a room and shut the door, they would come out to find a giant gray dog lying against it with a look of deep personal betrayal on his face. The months passed, and Finn grew from a tiny bundle into a giggling, unsteady little person with a fistful of his dog's loose skin in each hand. He learned to pull himself up to standing by grabbing Blue's collar, and Blue would hold perfectly still, bracing himself, a living piece of furniture built for exactly one small boy. Finn's first clear word was not mama, it was not dada, it was boo. his baby version of Blue, shouted with pure joy every single morning the second he spotted him. But outside that house, the doubt never fully went away. On walks, parents scooped up their own children when they saw the giant gray dog rounding the corner. Rick still crossed to the other side of the street. A woman at the park once asked Emily to her face if she was reckless for keeping an animal that big near a baby who could barely walk. Emily had learned to just smile and keep walking, because she knew something all of them did not. She knew that the single safest place in all of South Lake was the patch of floor directly beneath that dog's watchful eyes. There was the night Finn spiked a fever, and Blue would not stop nosing at the crib and whining low in his chest until Emily woke and realized her son was burning up. There was the afternoon a delivery driver came through the side gate unannounced, and Blue simply moved his body between the stranger and the baby. No teeth, no sound, just a wall of gray muscle that made the man decide to leave the package and go. Some bonds are too rare to stay hidden, and this was one of them. Then came a quiet Sunday in October. Emily was folding laundry in the living room while Finn, now 15 months old and pulling up on everything in sight, cruised along the furniture a few feet away, with Blue lying nearby, watching him the way he always did. In the corner of that room stood a tall wooden dresser, the heavy old kind, the kind every family owns and never thinks twice about. Finn reached it, grabbed the bottom drawer handle to steady himself, and pulled. And in that instant, the whole thing began to tip. Furniture tip-overs crush a child in this country every 2 weeks, and it happens in silence and in seconds. A dresser or a bookshelf or a television coming down on a toddler too small to move out of the way. Emily looked up at the wrong moment and saw it already falling, saw her son directly beneath it, and knew with a mother's sick certainty that she was too far away and it was too late. The same dog the whole street had called an accident waiting to happen, the same 51 people had begged them to get rid of, the same 150-pound Great Dane every one of them had sworn would hurt that baby, was already moving.
He crossed that room like the floor was on fire, and half a second before the dresser came down, 150 pounds of Great Dane hit Finn from the side, hooked the back of his little shirt in his teeth and dragged him clear, and the dresser slammed into the floor with a crash that shook the windows onto the exact spot where a 15-month-old had been standing a heartbeat before. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Finn, sitting on the floor a safe distance away where the dog had flung him, started to cry, more startled than hurt, and Blue stood over him, chest heaving, and would not move from that spot. Emily reached them a second later, screaming and sobbing and pulling her son into her arms, running her hands over him, and Finn was fine. He was completely fine. The dresser had missed him by the length of a dog's lunge. The doctors will tell you that a piece of furniture that heavy, coming down on a child that small, does not leave room for a second chance. Emily knew, sitting on that floor with her whole body shaking, that if Blue had been napping in another room like a normal dog, if Blue had hesitated for even one heartbeat, the story of that Sunday afternoon would have ended in the worst way a story can end. Instead, it ended with a Great Dane getting an entire rotisserie chicken for dinner that night, and a little boy who will never know how close he came. For weeks afterward, Emily could not walk past that corner without her knees going weak. Half a second. That was the entire distance between an ordinary lazy Sunday and the worst day of her life. And a dog had closed it on 4 legs. Word spread down the street the way news like that always does. The woman from the park who had called her reckless came by with a card. Rick, the neighbor who had crossed the street for 2 years, knocked on their door, looked down at Blue for a long moment, and said quietly, "I was wrong about him." Blue accepted a single pat from the man and then turned right back around to check on Finn. Today, Blue is 4 years old and 155 pounds. Finn is 2 now, and he still learns to climb the big stairs with one small hand wrapped tightly around that dog's collar. Blue still sleeps stretched across his doorway every single night. Every piece of furniture in that house is bolted to the wall now, but it does not matter, because 155 pounds of Great Dane still positions himself between that little boy and anything that could ever hurt him, the way he has since the day Finn came home. He learned that lesson once, and he has no intention of ever learning it twice. And the 51 people who swore up and down that they should get rid of him have all gone very quiet, because here is the simple truth that every one of them missed. A dog is not dangerous because of his size or his breed or the enormous shape of him in a doorway.
What makes a dog is who he decides to love and exactly what he is willing to do to keep them safe. Blue decided on the very first day that a tiny human wrapped in a blanket was his to protect, and not once, not ever did he change his mind. If you are thinking about bringing a big, powerful dog into a home with little ones, please do not listen to the fear. Learn the breed, train with patience, supervise with love, and understand that the right dog raised the right way is not a danger to your child. Sometimes he is the guardian angel you never even knew you needed. So let me ask you honestly, would you have trusted a 150-pound Great Dane alone with your baby? Or would you have listened to those 51 people and let him go? Tell me in the comments. Would you have trusted a 150-pound Great Dane out in a blanket was his to protect, and not once, not ever did he change his mind? If you are thinking about bringing a big, powerful dog into a home with little ones, please do not listen to the fear. Learn the breed, train with patience, supervise with love, and understand that the right dog raised the right way is not a danger to your child. Sometimes he is the guardian angel you never even knew you needed. So let me ask you honestly, people, and let him go. Tell me in the comments.